All right, everybody's talking about No Man's Sky, and we have our own guy to be talking about it, too. His name is Sam Miskovich from Ars Technica. How's it going, Sam?
Well, I really like that very formal-sounding introduction. Thank you so much. I'm doing great now that that's happened.
Excellent. So tell us, how does it feel to be a space pirate?
Space pirate isn't quite the word. No Man's Sky is a confusing game, and that was because, in some part, the hype and the introduction of it to the public was very skim. I was lucky enough to play it before it finally came out on PlayStation 4 on Tuesday and on Windows PCs today. I got to play a couple months ago. And the thing I would like to point out about that experience compared to the game now is that the reason the hype was done the way it was because the game was not done. There are things in this finished space exploration game that seem like they were finished at the last minute. I really do think that the people who made this game, known as Hello Games, were really trying to invent the game, like putting the seams together before shipping it out the door. That being said, it is a strange mix of huge and small. No Man's Sky, if you aren't familiar, puts you on, crash lands you on a random planet in a giant fictional galaxy made up of 18 quintillion planets. That's 18 and then 18 zeros after that. And your mission is simply to figure out what the heck you're doing. So there's kind of a mission at the beginning that says, follow me, I am this voice that's telling you to kind of fly this ways. And another thing says, just go to the center of the galaxy. And you kind of pick between one of these two objectives. To do so, you have to gather resources by going up to stuff, either destroying it or picking it up. Fly around planets to find more resources, talk to random aliens and learn their language, and eventually hop from planet to planet to planet to sort of figure out this overarching major kind of system of how to play. That being said, while there are 18 quintillion planets, the question is, what do you do among all these planets? And there's not a ton. You're essentially doing the same thing over and over. It's been compared to Minecraft in terms of being an open giant world. But in Minecraft, you can at least create things. No Man's Sky is simply about going from place to place and taking stuff. I need some plutonium to make a thing. I need to upgrade my shield so I can destroy a ship. When I destroy that ship, I get some things I can use to make some better items. I use those items to get to another planet where I can get more items that I can use to make more items, to get to another planet, to get further into the galaxy, to get closer to the very center of this mysterious universe. So there's an appeal to this in that you can just fly and fly and fly, and it just doesn't stop generating planets. These are all procedurally generated. A mix of hundreds of math formulas, if not thousands. I'm not sure exactly, they haven't said. But these math formulas all kind of work together to generate the planet shapes, the colors, which monsters appear where, the shapes of those monsters. And that sounds really intense, but as you play through, you start to run into certain repeating things over and over and over. This cave that's showing up on the web feed, there's a lot of caves that look just like this cave. There are buildings that are all just recycled and reused over and over. So as you go along deeper and deeper and deeper, you do find this mix of discovery and boredom. I am still working on my review of the game, but I've gotten about 40 hours in because every once in a while something new shows up. And I'm trying to really figure out whether I'm going to feel a payoff. But what I was just playing some board games with some buddies the other night. They're about my age. They have kids. And they said, who's this game for? And I said, it's for an 11-year-old who wants to feel like he's playing a tougher, more intense Minecraft, but is done with the building. This sort of sci-fi dreaming and patience with tedium. I remember when I was a little kid, I would put up with really redundant video games because there was a promise of something greater. I had time to kill. I was hiding from the sun because I was a very pale kid in Texas, et cetera, et cetera. I could see this being a really fun game for that audience. But for grown-ups who have so many options in the giant survival world game sphere, this is not at the top. It's very impressive, but I think the thing that bummed me, I'm kind of going on and on. You should probably interrupt me because this game is so big. I really feel like I could talk for 18 quintillion minutes about this game. There's a lot.
So what wasn't finished about it? You said you felt like it wasn't finished.
What's not finished is the feeling of more to do as a game.
Uniqueness, yeah.
There's a screensaver element to it. Like, I'm just going to fly around and it's going to be beautiful, and maybe I'll take a psychoactive element in my body and enjoy that. And the bummer with that part of it is that the game has this pop-in issue. As you fly around, these planets are huge, they're giant, but they have to generate themselves, and they don't generate as quickly as you fly over them. You see a lot of this dithering and pop in, and so it's not it doesn't feel like you're really going to these other planets. It feels like there's a bunch of little creatures just stitching them together on the fly, and it doesn't feel transportive in that way. And there's no multiplayer. You are essentially playing by yourself. The idea is that if you go to a planet and someone else in the game has been to that planet and has claimed it, then the things that they have named will appear. You can customize all the names. If you're watching the web video earlier, I named my first planet Big Buttistan because why not? And so if someone ever gets to that planet and is connected online, that name will appear. That's it for the multiplayer portion of this giant galaxy. Otherwise, you really are by yourself. So I think a lot of people kind of hoped that there would be something a little more that they could connect with friends, whether it be teaming up to get the resources or comparing what they've done or trading items, anything. And there's nothing of that sort. The combat is not very good. Whether you're shooting guns on the planet or shooting them in space, they're both very boring, simple systems that seem like they were sort of stitched together at the last minute. It really, the complaint and the worry was from the get-go, because there had been hype about this for years. It's been in development. Sony advertised it in a big way because it looked beautiful. But the complaint that internet trolls often said was, it's a tech demo with no game. And that has, for the most part, borne out. They have done their best to get something that's game-like in there, but I kind of want my 50 hours back thus far.
Have there also been issues with like too many players and, the game crashing and that sort of thing?
Because it's all single player, it can't crash. The worst that happens is that the internet feed doesn't tell you that other people have named the planet that you are on. But the other issue in terms of technical stuff is today the Windows version launched, and it's kind of a problem. There's a lot of optimization issues, a lot of herking and jerking. The tech requirements for this game are pretty low, but people are saying that they've got these $600, $700, $800 video cards in which the game is hitching and freezing and not quite running that well. And they say, how is this not working for my brand new GTX 1080 card? I myself have a GTX 980 Ti. It came out a couple of years ago. It still costs like $500-600, and it hitches and chugs on that one a little bit too. And I look at that and I go, this thing is easily 3 times as powerful as my PlayStation 4, which runs smoothly. It seems like there's some stuff about getting the game out that was not quite done. This game was not quite done on the PC in particular. So if you're looking for the smoother version, go PlayStation 4 for now. Hopefully there will be some patches and fixes for the Windows version in the meantime.
Sounds to me like the concept behind it, kind of the driving force behind it, it's a start, and maybe the next iteration, whatever that happens to be, they kind of figure out the downsides of what isn't working here, and it becomes something really compelling, because the idea behind it is very compelling, to think of this vast universe, and it's the same for everybody, but good luck ever experiencing, even 1% of it, because it's just so huge.